Man, now back to the conversation we were having about the judging. There actually has been several events lately that have had the same judging controversy. The most recent was the Tito Ortiz and the Forrest Griffin fight. That Griffin-Ortiz fight was very close. Ortiz dominated in the early going. Griffin rallied to take control in the end. But then the reason that it was really controversial was because of the how each judge scored it so differently. Lester Griffin awarded all 3 rounds to Forrest Griffin. Glenn Trowbridge gave 2 rounds to Ortiz, and then Marcos Rosales gave 2 rounds to Griffin. So that kind of just shows you what we're talking about. It's so subjective. It's kind of almost comes down to an opinion. Let me ask you this. How do you think that they could fix the problem?
They need a universal, well, I guess the universal ranking system is the boxing system, but they need a universal way for the judges, if you're going to judge, to go through training and to teach them what points what, so everyone's on the exact same page. That's the only way to do it, is everyone to be on the exact same page, so you don't get all these crazy numbers like it is.
Exactly. What do you think as far as, what you said earlier is kind of what I was going to ask you. When someone gets a takedown, do you reward the fighter with the points even if he doesn't do any damage on the ground just because it was a takedown?
Well, you know what? I know that in other mixed martial arts competitions, submission grappling tournaments and such, you are awarded points for a takedown. And a takedown is a takedown. It's a display of my physical dominance over you. If I take Seth down to the ground, I physically dominated him for that 5 seconds or for that 10 seconds. If he gets right back up and takes me right back down, now we're back to square one. So, yeah, you get points for a takedown.
Right, but, I mean, it should be a takedown should be the exact same point as a perfectly clean strike to the face or perfectly clean strike to the center or whatever, anything like that. So if you get taken down right back up, it's just like scoring a nice punch. If the person punches you 2 or 3 times after that, that person should be ahead on the card.
And that's like jiu-jitsu, too. I mean, if you get the takedown but your guy gets right back up, they don't give you the point for it. I want to remind you, you're listening to the Ultimate Fight Show live on 740 The Game. If you want to call and give us your opinion on this, give us a call at 407-916-8255 or toll free at 1-800-729-8255. And I want to say hey to Lee. Thanks for listening. I see you're listening to the Ultimate Fight Show in Altamont Springs. Thanks for listening, my friends. Okay, so all 3 judges scored that Tito fight differently. Now, what about the big one? What about Lyoto Machida? What about that fight with Shogun? Now, that was another one. Look, I'm a huge Shogun fan. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a huge Machida fan.
Yeah, okay,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I really wanted him to win. But did Machida even win one of those rounds?
For my head, no. For my heart, yes.
Exactly. I mean, I love Machida, but when that fight was over, there was no question in my mind that Shogun had won it.
But here's the deal. When you have the belt and you're the champion, you have to physically really dominate and steal that. That's always how it's been in any single sport. To go against the champion, you got to really, really beat a champion. You can't just eke it by and steal the belt from him. You got to show pure dominance or a knockout or something like that. You don't ever leave it to the judges when it comes to a belt. And
I hear what you're saying, man. And like I said before, it's like the Tom Lawler thing. I'm a huge Tom Lawler fan. I saw that second round a little bit differently. Now with the Machida fight, huge Machida fan. I don't like Shogun at all. But I sat and watched that fight a couple times, and I'll tell you what, Machida, I really don't think he won not even one of those rounds. And I hear what you're saying, but to me, that would be taking the belt. I mean, he won all 5 rounds.
Right.
He didn't knock him out, he didn't submit him. But if you win all 5 rounds, you might have won that belt.
I got you. If you dominate all 5 rounds, then maybe.
I don't think he was 10-9 strong enough in those rounds to make it. I think any one of those rounds could have gone either way, and I think that's the problem. And I think that's what Seth's trying to say is,
right.
Maybe you did get a 10-9 round, but you barely got it. You only got a 10-9 round because they can't give you a 10-10 round.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple. You look at a fight like Rua and Machida. It could have gone either way. In all of those rounds, you look at a fight like Lawler-Simpson, and there is absolutely no question who was on the end of that beatdown.
Yeah, I hear you, man. We're going to play UFC trivia later, too, so if you guys want to call in and play trivia, give us a call, 407-916-8255, or you can call us toll-free, 1-800-729-8255. We got the MMA news coming up to the minute. We're going to play UFC trivia. We got Seth Petruzelli in the studio tonight. I'm very excited. We want to take your calls, so give us a call, man. So what do you think, Brian? What are your I didn't hear your thoughts on that Nate Diaz fight.
I got to go back to Nate Diaz's strikes not being effective. It's one of those things where, like I said, if I paw you in the face 10 times, you give me a hard 1-2, you drop me to the mat or you rock me, make me see stars a little bit. Those 2 strikes are far outweighing the 10 strikes that are more distracting than anything else.
And that's what happened in that fight. He was pawing and then getting owned. Other than the paws, he was getting hit a lot harder.
And that's what Nick Diaz does, man. I mean, Nick Diaz seems like he's a little bit more effective with his strikes, but he's kind of the same. He throws all arm punches. When he fought Frank Shamrock, he beat him, and he had him looking pretty hurt, but it was just all tiny little annoying jabs.
Yeah, it's all that hot air that they spew out of their mouth. There's no steam behind the punches anymore because it's all spewed out with his mouth.
All right, we're going to take some callers after this break, but first let's do your MMA news. And the UFC finally debuts their events in Abu Dhabi. The fight between Anderson Silva and Vitor Belfort is in the works to take place at UFC 112 on April 10th in Abu Dhabi. This will be the first UFC event in Abu Dhabi and will also have the UFC debut of the legend Renzo Gracie against the 5-time welterweight champion Matt Hughes, as well as a title defense by BJ Penn. Dana White backs up Shinya Aoki for the arm-breaking antics. Aoki drew tremendous criticism at Dynamite 2009 when he broke Sengaku lightweight champion Mizuto Hirato's arm and flipped him off as he writhed in pain. White said that the behavior was just part of the fight business. White's objection to Lesnar's UFC 100 post-fight freakout dealt generally with the champion's attack on a blue-chip sponsor of the organization. I think that White could not care less that Lesnar scolded Mir, as Las Vegas native was helped to his feet after being TKO'd. The UFC makes 111 official with St. Pierre and Hardy and Mir Carwin. The UFC's return to the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey is now official, as UFC 111 takes place on March 27th with 2 title fights scheduled for that card. This will be the first UFC event with multiple title fights since UFC 100 last July. Coincidentally, 2 of the men who headline that historic card will co-main event 111 as George St. Pierre defends his welterweight title against British contender Dan Hardy, and Frank Mir and Shane Carwin battle it out for the interim heavyweight title as Brock Lesnar still is sidelined with medical issues. Although not yet confirmed, a welterweight rematch between former title contenders Thiago Alves and John Fitch is also expected for that card, and the New Jersey residents Ricardo Almeida and Frankie Edgar are also expected to compete. Gomi may fight Florian in his UFC debut. Takanori Gomi, once considered to be one of the best lightweight fighters in the world, has signed a multi-fight contract with the UFC. No word on when or where Gomi will take his first debut, but it is rumored that he might face UFC veteran Kenny Florian. 2 of the sport's most devastating knockout artists are preparing to go to war in Miami. The Ultimate Fight Show has recently been able to confirm that a middleweight slugfest between Melvin Manhoff and Robbie Lawler is currently on the table, and it's expected to take place on the Strikeforce Miami card set for January 30th. Former Icon Sport and Elite XC middleweight champion Robbie Lawler will make his first return to action since a disappointing first-round submission defeat at the hands of the current Strikeforce 185-pound holder, Jake Shields, on June 6th of 2009. Prior to that loss, Robbie actually had a 6-fight win streak. Manhoff is fresh off of what could be considered the biggest win of his career, as the 5'8" beast from Holland most recently flattened the highly regarded Kazuya Mizuki during the year-end Dynamite 2009 card. That's your MMA news. Coming up on the Ultimate Fight Show, we have UFC trivia and more with Seth Petruzelli. Call us at 407-916-8255.
The Ultimate Fight Show. News, discussion, mayhem. More to come.